Hey everybody, how you doing? I'm Babs, rising VTuber and artist. Today we'll be continuing this art piece that we started for an art fight attack last week. Yeah, I'm very happy with how it's coming along. I might add a little bit more steam back here. I don't know, maybe this will throw the piece off balance a little bit. I feel like it's just nice to round it out a little bit up here. Also, there's just this weird transition between the thicknesses here. Let me just give that a little bit more. What's it called? Like a gradient? I'm thinking of like the biological thing of like radiation, right? Or like substances move from a gradient of high concentration to low concentration. I think that was like the exact wording for it. Yeah, but yeah, we started this one last week, and no, actually, we we started this one this week. We started this one on Monday, and now we are going to work on it a little bit more. So actually, I'm going to make this arm just a tiny bit thinner. It was probably thicker as part of the. Hang on. Yeah, I think this could just use a little bit of the impression of being longer by virtue of making it thinner. There's lots of funny stuff you can do like that. Yeah. I remember I saw this one article right on like how to take selfies back. I wasn't a huge fan of selfies back when they were like only just getting big, right? It's weird to think that we lived in a world before. Well, we didn't live in a world before selfies, right? Like the act of taking a picture of yourself, it was a well-established practice. It was just very difficult. It was radically different to what we have today because now it was just made easier to do that, right? Because like before, right, before you would need to. It was almost like a trick shot, really, if you think about it. For your camera, you needed to figure out exactly how to aim it and at what angle, and when that worked and when it didn't. But yeah, after we made those cameras where you could also see the screen at the same time, it became much easier. A matter of course, really, to just aim a picture of yourself. I don't know why selfies just became such a. Maybe it was just a new word that scared people. I remember it was like a boomer thing, hating on the word selfie. Very much like an old man yells at cloud kind of thing. Hmm. Well, maybe it's just one of those things where it's like they make it out to be more unpopular with like older people than it actually was. Like maybe because I know some old folks really do like selfies. And I might just extend the apron this way. Hmm. Okay. Yeah, that'll work. Okay. Or actually, can we? Yeah, there we go. Let's just shorten that curve there. I feel like that makes more sense. Okay, let's get started on the actual coloring of this part. Yeah, just big chunks. I feel like I don't say how often enough to I don't say it often enough, but it really is a good thing to get a perspective on like a workflow outside of your own. Because yesterday I tuned into Mocha's stream, and they were making a drawing. They were painting lots of different things, right? They were making some drawings of like packaged meat. They were drawing some pancakes as practice for paint rendering, right? And I think they also made it and drew a commission real quick. They're very productive. Oh wait, is this? Wait, no. V equals 4. Okay, it's not pitch black. I was wondering if this is just like pitch black, but no, it's slightly to the left of that, to the right of that. Well, it's not really that easy to distinguish it from here. Yeah, top eyeshadow and top lip is black, low eyes and low lip is red. Yeah, okay. All right, this is like a proper choker. Okay, add this here. Let's see, Millipen. Just a little bit more than that. Actually, no. It is fairly noticeably different from black. That it's like a very good color. I don't know. Like it's just different enough that it doesn't fade into the line art, and that's really good. I don't know. I always feel nervous flirting with the very bottom of the color layer because I feel like sometimes it's not enough to. Oh, the V is like okay. The V is actually like this part, so it's not okay. So it's not actually going more towards right. It's just a little. It's just like the tiniest little bit, not pure 000. Good luck. Thanks, Adept. Let's see. Okay, just add something here. There we go. Okay, there we go. I fear that I might have misinterpreted what these top bits are. I think they were supposed to be like just normal bangs, but I think I pushed them a little bit too far back. Oh well, the rice is cooked. I'll learn soon enough if they weren't made correctly. I don't know. So, I feel like it would definitely be like some kind of rule of hospitality thing that you don't critique the art that you receive. But at the same time, I do wish that the artist would like, very gently maybe clarify. Oh, this part was actually supposed to be this because then I feel like I'd be like, oh, that's what it was. I don't know. This is all just my own interpretation. I'm doing the best that I can. And I think that's the fascinating thing is that everybody has like slightly different interpretations of what it's actually like. Okay, well, let's just grab a little bit right here and expand by 1 pixel. That's not 1 pixel. Expand by 1 pixel. There you go. Yeah, very similarly over here. Just add a little bit more. Or actually, I don't think we need that little part there. Come to think of it, maybe it'd be good to make this other eye's black eyeshadow a little more low-key. Like a little bit more right there. Just a touch more around the edges here. There we go. Yeah, nothing too crazy. Just a little bit extra wherever it can be afforded. And then for the red eyeshadow, they've got a little bit on this side. It's actually a little bit obscured over here, isn't it? It shows up a little bit different on... this is just for illustrative purposes. Or actually, couldn't we just use the same color as the lips? Yeah, actually, that works pretty well. And that looks much more on model. Okay, there we go. Okay, just a little bit right here. Okay, and then we can use this darker color as well up here or near the top of the lip. Okay. And using the same dark color in the eyelashes for the choker, I think that fits pretty well. Okay, the little sash right here. I think the gloves should also probably be white. Yeah, I've got a strategy in mind for the parts that have the fishnet over them. But actually, I don't know, maybe it'd be better to also, because I see here in this model that they actually have the area that's guarded by fishnets in a slightly different skin tone, which I guess it's just like the tone with the area covered with the garters, which makes sense. Okay, there we go. Okay, the buttons are pitch black, the apron is pretty much pitch black. But that worked quite well for me. This was the design from the beginning. Okay. Feel like this eyebrow needs to be slightly smaller. I think I accidentally caught a little bit of hair there. Yeah, now this one can be a little bit smaller as well. Feel like they're not spaced out enough now. Let's give it a shot. I mean, Yeah, no, they're definitely supposed to be more spaced out a little bit. It's crazy work that tomorrow is Friday. I don't know. It just doesn't feel Thursday enough. I feel like tomorrow's just going to be Thursday again. You know what I mean? Thursday too. Yeah. Thursday too. Still not Friday. God, I remember that somebody was talking about how much of a pain it's going to be once they have to introduce moon time into like the modern and technological infrastructure. Just because like the moon's time isn't really like it's a little bit iffy, and like you need to set it in relation to something. But what do you set it in relation to? It'll be like completely busted. I don't know. I for one think it's about time we got a little bit of competition in the time market. You know, I feel like we don't appreciate enough that we only have to deal with like a few select time zones here and there. I don't know. I feel like working on moon time is going to give you some great options for messing with other people as like a work from home type of dude, right? Like time theft is going to be so easy if your manager's on the moon, and he's constantly like, "Oh wait, is it Moon Tuesday or Earth Tuesday?" And you'll be like, "Earth Tuesday," parentheses lying, and he'll be like, "Oh, thank God." I don't know. I'm not particularly hyped to live on the moon. I don't think I'll be a moon dweller myself. I've been I've roamed enough in my younger days to want to scale until step that up rather than trying to relax on Earth. Listen, I spent so much fucking time just trying to find a place to live on Earth. You think I'm gonna muck around and go live in the moon now? The moon in the fucking sky? I'm pretty good over here personally. Right. I don't know. If the moon comes with a ping pong table, I might be swayed. If the moon has a ping pong table on there, I might be tempted. It's not a definite yes. They would have to sweep the pot a little bit more still, but it's not a no anymore. You know, if they can introduce a ping pong table to the equation some way and somehow, they've brought me back in. You're not walking around out there or anything. You're just in your moon house, hoping nothing explodes and exposes you to the vacuum of space. Yeah, nothing necessarily even explodes either. Uh, I don't. I think I've talked about it before on the channel. There's like a bunch of tiny little debris coming off of like space station and satellites and shit, and some of it is accelerating pretty fucking fast. So you've also got to watch out for that. I don't know if the moon has like the same kind of natural deterrent that Earth does against that, which is like having a burn up in atmospheric reentry. But at the same time, I feel like the moon is going to be relying a lot more on like satellites and shit, being that they don't have internet. Native, they might have moon internet. Moon internet is going to be kind of crazy. I feel. I don't know. I don't want to go to the moon, but I want to see moon internet memes. Oh, right. She's wearing leggings. That means I can remove some of the details on the knee here. You know how like sometimes we import memes from China, like the panda with the person's face photoshopped over on top of it? But it'd be kind of like that sort of situation. Like I feel like they'll develop like this entirely new micro culture, and we'll just be able to reap the benefits of them having that. Hmm. I feel like a lot of the a lot of the new music coming out of the moon is gonna suck, but it's also gonna be very experimental. Like there's definitely gonna be at least one dude out there who's like throwing slowly moving tennis balls at instruments in zero gravity. But it's important to preserve that as well culturally. If it ends up being run by Elon Musk, I think we can throw the moon internet in the trash. Yeah, I mean, I feel like I haven't heard that much bad talk about Starlink. I've heard the thing is that like Starlink internet doesn't seem to be bad. It just seems to be fundamentally ridiculous in that sort of way, right? Like the quality of the internet itself is not bad. It's just kind of an absurd concept. It feels very unnecessary. It definitely feels like it's not something that should be rolled out to any old schmuck who wants to buy one. But apparently it is fairly reliable. So credit where credit is due. The Starlink internet could be worse. Definitely should probably be run by somebody else. I will say that much as well. Like we're at a good place with it, but I feel like it should be run somewhere else if you really want to unlock your key and achieve your true potential. Right? Like I feel like I feel like perhaps current management is not operating with the not even with like the interests of the shareholders, just like with anybody's interests in mind, except maybe his own. Also, I'm making goth baking sheets just because I can. What color is gingerbread anyway? Or not even not goth baking sheets, goth parchment paper. I feel like parchment paper is one of those things that should just be goth. Like parchment is just an inherently kind of goth word. The fact that it's used for baking, notwithstanding, parchment is just kind of a goth word. Hmm. I'm gonna make the melted chocolate here the same color as our eyes, just to recycle some of the color palette. Yeah, that looks good. All right, again, let me go pull up some gingerbread men references. Not the Shrek character, not the Shrek character, not the Shrek character. Excuse me. Okay, right. So they're this kind of like carrot cake-ish color. Kind of think of it is a little bit weird that gingerbread doesn't taste more like carrot cake, just by virtue of them being kind of similarly colored. Hmm. Yeah, that looks like a decent color for the gingerbread. I don't know. I do wonder why Well, actually, no. I probably know why. I was gonna say I wonder why parchment paper doesn't come in like fun, unique colors, but then I remembered that it's probably something to do with like the food grade safety of it. Like, don't get me wrong, Sakura pink parchment paper would be cute as hell, but like at the same time, how do you know that's not gonna like cause a fire? I feel like we don't give enough credit to parchment paper. It is a substance that is very difficult to make catch fire for something that we put in such high temperatures. Like whenever you're dealing with anything that's supposed to associate with high heat, you really gotta future proof ahead of time for some real whack jobs out there. You know how like some people have like bear proof cans that they test with actual bears. I feel like that's probably like the extent to which they need to test it. They need to go like full Edna mode, unloading a Uzi on like a super suit kind of shit. To reiterate, though, I am not against the idea. I just think it would not be responsibly sourced. I don't know how hard could it be to make your own parchment paper? We don't do wild product testing like we used to. Yeah. Now we just clip it, ship it, and put it up on Temu. It's like, who gives a shit anymore? Consumer safety is such a 2010s idea. Every single time I remember, like, things you absolutely should not eat because of like poor product testing. I remember about that one lady on TikTok who made like her own sauce brand that was like home packaged. It had completely fake diet information on the back because she just made it to like form angel numbers like triple sevens and such. Yeah, it was like this weird. Hang on, let me see if I can find an article on it real quick. Let me pull up on this. Hang on. Oh yeah, here we go. Pink sauce. Here we fucking go. Okay, let's see. Web browser. Here we go. Why TikTok's pink sauce has some food safety experts very worried. Oh god, how do I get rid of this one? Get out of here. Pink sauce, a new Pepto Bismol colored condiment made famous by TikTok, has recently sparked a conversation around food safety, particularly regarding products made by small businesses. The viral topping is the creation of Chef Pie, a private chef in Miami, who went viral on the social media platform after sharing a video of herself dipping a chicken finger into a bowl of the bright pink sauce. Over the following weeks, Chef Pie and her pink sauce received quite a bit of criticism. The pink sauce label came under fire for misspelled words, vinegar instead of vinegar, and a curious amounts of servings per container, 444 one-tablespoon servings, which amounts to 28 cups of product. Other users complained about shipping issues, including bloated or exploded bottles, or changes in color and texture upon arrival. God. Okay, wait, hang on. What's really inside the condiment? Why is it so pink? And how can the product, which is being sold online for $20 a pop, be given away to customers while it's currently in lab testing? Okay, the pink sauce. Okay, a pink colored sauce. Some of the ingredients include dragon fruit, sunflower seed oil, chili, garlic, and honey. Okay, I'm kind of fucking with this. I'm kind of, bloated bottles aside, I'm kind of into it. The label gets a little bit more detailed. Okay, water, sunflower seed oil, raw honey, distilled vinegar, sick, garlic, pitaya, which is also dragon fruit, pink Himalayan sea salt, dried spices, lemon juice, milk, and citric acid. Okay, so I'm reading this at, hang on, milk? As for the sauce's nutrition content, a 1 tablespoon serving of sauce clocks in at 90 calories and contains 1 gram of fat. Likely an oversight since sunflower oil contains about 14 grams of fat per serving, 60 milligrams of sodium, and 3 carbs. How it tastes? It's a little tangy. We got a little spice. It tastes a little bit of ranch. It's everything combined in one. Hmm. In a screen recording from one of her live videos, Chef Pie is seen commenting that the pink sauce doesn't contribute to your health and therefore doesn't need to be vetted by the U.S. Food and Drug Administration. It's not a medical product. There are a few negative ways pink sauce indeed can contribute to your health. Botulism is one of the main concerns. Oh, God. Foodborne botulism is a product of homemade foods that haven't been properly canned, preserved, or fermented. Oh, God. When you see low acid foods like raw garlic or dragon fruit being put in high oil content, we've seen similar products lead to botulism in the past without any acidification of those low acid foods. Okay, I see. An unknown pH of the product has food safety experts especially worried. A pH reading of over 4.6 specifically raises real concerns about botulism. Some people say on TikTok that it's when the bottle is opened up, it pops or fizzes or gas is formed. That's an indication there could be a growth of pathogens. Yeah. And it's shipped unrefrigerated. Also, yeah, it's got milk in there, which usually needs refrigeration to remain safe. On, I don't know. Like this definitely feels like the sort of thing that you would like first try to sell locally, right? Because I remember, I've seen a lot. I remember tuning into a few episodes of Shark Tank back in the day, and there were a couple of people who had like these hot sauces for sale, and almost always it was like, yeah, no, people loved. We made it for our family. They loved it. They wanted it bottled. We bottled it for family, and then we just kept selling it at like church rallies or whatever local event was happening, and then we just started getting people who actually really wanted this to be a big product. And that feels like a reasonable escalation. You don't just go, hey, I can make a pink sauce and now some schmucks will buy it on TikTok. That's that's not how any of this works. It'll be fine. What could go wrong? That's fair. I hadn't considered that. What if it all turns out all right? I don't know. Maybe my gut flora is just built different. Hmm. Speaking of things that I've heard, I remember hearing some rumblings about like people starting to like not treat themselves, self medicate using magnesium, and that always felt a little weird to me because last I heard that magnesium use is what like old people use to go to the bathroom. I thought that's what magnesium was supposed to do, but maybe that's just one type of magnesium. A lot of people have been talking about like magnesium as as a sort of pick me up, and I don't know. Hang on, let's hop back into Google real quick. Hang on, genuinely have no idea there. Okay, hang on. Later consumer lab survey shows growth in popularity of magnesium and several smaller supplements. Okay. Preg- Pregnant, pregnant, I don't even know how to pronounce that. Hang on. Prenenolone, probably. Magnesium. Okay, plus 4.8 points doesn't seem like a whole lot. Okay. Manuka honey. Bioprene lion's mane. What is. Hang on, can we talk about lion's mane? What is lion's mane? Fermented lion's mane. Oh, it's a type of mushroom. I see. Okay. So they were like, actually, hang on. Why is magnesium trending on TikTok? Life hacker. All right, here. Oh, that's really. Hang on. Mushrooms do have some wild names. Yep. Okay. Okay. Magnesium is super hot in the wellness space. Is it actually worth taking, or are people rushing to cash in on another boom that's based on slim scientific evidence? I'm guessing it's the latter. The magnesium deficiency industrial complex. Okay, I feel like this one might be biased as well. I don't know. This one feels almost like a little bit too biased against. Okay. Magnesium is an important electrolyte. It's an alkaline metal, we number 12 on the periodic table, and like many electrolytes that are earth metals, the human body has a preferred amount it needs to incorporate into functions. Magnesium is something you can absolutely be deficient in, and recent studies show that many Americans get less than the recommended amount. Magnesium is also something that can make you poop your pants pretty badly if you take it too much, right? Okay, that's more of what I'm familiar with. That's what I recall. Our urinary and digestive systems are quick to try and eliminate a magnesium overload, which can both prevent and enable deficiencies in different bodies, even at different times. Huh. Oh, right. I remember that it was mostly for sleep stuff. People were saying that they were taking melatonin and it wasn't really working for them. But then they started taking magnesium and it helped them to sleep a little more. Okay. Doctors chalk the current mineral madness up to an increase in pandemic health consciousness, and this is the one. It would seem that an increase in anxiety and more awareness of sleep issues could also be behind the buzz. Magnesium glycinate in particular is being pushed hard on TikTok, with adherents claiming it will improve your sleep, stop muscle spasms, and maybe even calm anxiety. Huh. Okay. Oh, there is actually different types of magnesium. Magnesium glycinate is the most talked about format and has a role in enzymatic functions, including DNA or RNA synthesis. Okay. Out there pushing magnesium on TikTok. Yeah. The big magnesium is really hot right now. Magnesium citrate is something you might be familiar with from the drugstore, or if you've ever had to do a godforsaken bowel prep. Magnesium sulfate is another one you might know if from dumping in your bathtub, aka Epsom salt. There's also liposomal magnesium, added amino acid formulas, and a lot of unique ways to add magnesium to the mix. Huh. Okay, there are some benefits to magnesium supplements, though. Okay. Yeah, so it sounds like unless you specifically know that, oh, here's, okay, follow the money. Okay, magnesium is a moneymaker for influencers. Okay, right. Magnesium is a cheaply available powder, so there's nothing stopping someone from DIYing a bunch of capsules and then charging $50 a bottle for a few cents worth of minerals prepared in unsafe conditions or concentrations. Yep. Okay, now the pieces fall into place. Those with more scruples can add what's known as white labeled products from legitimate manufacturers with certifications to make their capsules. But there's still a changing of hands as what is dirt cheap base ingredient magically multiplies in price by the time it reaches your doorstep. Okay. Alright, so it very much does sound like stick to your one a day unless you have like a reputable source, and even then maybe make sure that magnesium is what you have a deficiency in. Which is pretty much the same as it is for any other kind of supplement. I remember I used to take iron supplements because I thought that I might have low blood iron. I just wasn't getting enough sleep, really. I thought I had low iron, and then I started getting sick all the time, and I'm like, why does my tummy hurt so much? And it turns out that if you take too much iron, or you take iron supplements when you don't really need them, your stomach hurts. Yeah. The iron fights back. Yeah. The worst part is I probably don't even have like an iron deficiency because apparently my dad had so much iron in his like my dad recently got some blood work, and by recently I mean like 2 years ago when I was doing this. It was recent back then, my dad got some blood work done, and it turns out that he had like way too much iron in his blood to the point where like the doctor was joking around calling him Iron Man. So I feel so that's probably not. I feel like genetically I'm probably fine. I got genetics on my side in this case. Got that dwarven blood, yeah. I'm just like Sentry if he was much less scrupulous about his nutrition. I don't know. I feel like this for the background is pretty good. I feel like the cookies have too much saturation, which is a weird. I feel like it's the first time I've had that be a problem. Gotta drink some water real quick. Hate when I get the saturation wrong in my recipe. Yep. Really, it's the worst. And you don't even know if it'll turn out right until it's out of the oven, right? Honestly, this whole baking business has always smelled like a scam to me. God. Today I saw this post rolling around on Tumblr where somebody was saying something to the effect of, cooking. The thing about cooking is that you do just get good at it, right? It's almost kind of like how I've practiced curves enough times that I can just like make this in one sitting, right? If I really wanted to, I can just make these lines now. There's nothing stopping me from doing that. I don't need to like prep or anything. And cooking is much the same way. You can eventually just gain a baseline level of skill that's sufficiently competent to just do what you need to do. And then they added the caveat of baking is absolutely not like this. And it is 100% true. I I have been a fan of baking, and I have done some stupid shit in my time. I remember the first few times I tried to make, or actually no, the first time I tried to make bread, it sounded like when I don't like kneading dough too much. I don't like the sensation of kneading dough, and that's a problem because if you don't do that properly, the dough doesn't like develop gluten, and then you're fucked. But the problem is that I had no idea like what well developed dough is supposed to be like, so I just kept like using flour to like make it easier to knead. And then I was like, okay, this thing feels like it holds together pretty well. I'm a pop it in the oven, and I did. And when I tried to take it out of the bread mold, it didn't stick. But when it came out, normally when you unmold bread, right? Like when you take bread out of its baking mold, you you generally don't. Depending on how heavy the bread is, you might hear some rustling from the paper. If it's like a very light bread, it might just be like a pillowy sound. Mine sounded like a brick hitting the ground from like 5 meters overhead. Mine sounded like that sound effect of like metal pipes falling on the floor. If I had unmolded that on a movie, it would have caused like a camera shake effect. Needless to say, I still ate it, but it was not my brightest idea. I don't know. Ever since I saw the Sanji episodes of One Piece, I have been aghast to waste food. Like, listen, I may not have watched a One Piece episode for like more than 10 years, but I'm a never. Sanji's backstory filled me with like such a sense of purpose for not wasting food that it's nuts. Like anything, I will now try to salvage. But so yeah, I ate the brick shaped bread. I basically knew that I had to finish it in one sitting too, because otherwise I would not be able to like it would like harden and like coalesce into an inedible mass the next day. So I knew I was on fucking borrowed time. So yeah, I've gotten much better at making bread though. I will say that first foray feels now like a distant memory. I even have like a recipe that I made for myself that for how to make it. It's nothing too fancy, but it'll fill your stomach. And really, what else can you ask for? It's also very good freshly baked. Although, come to think of it, I don't actually have what do you call proper bread flour nowadays. I just use all-purpose flour for anything, which was another huge step that I had to take just to finally man the fuck up and buy some proper goddamn bread flour. I don't care what anybody says; it makes a difference. I can feel the difference. But yeah, that's been my little rant about baking. The thing is, like bread is also like one of those more relatively low entry gate, but high ceiling kind of hobbies. Because even within baking bread is a fucking step above. Like I can make cookies, right? I made cookies just fine. Bread whooped my ass. I could be making souffle, and that shit would probably be easier. Although I guess souffle is a type of bread, huh? Let's see. Baking just really gets wild out there, yeah. You know, there's this one. People talk a lot about this one manga series. I cannot remember the name right now. I on God, if I Google baking shonen manga, I'm gonna find it. Not Food Wars. Get the fuck out of here with Food Wars. I'm talking about Food Wars isn't shit compared to this one. Hang on. Baking bread manga. Yakitate Japan. This fucking manga. I have read a ton of the chapters for this one. It's basically it's a manga about competitive baking. The main character's powers is literally just he has warmer hands than most people, so the bread kind of rises while he's kneading it. That's his like protagonist superpower. And it becomes so fucking insane. I struggle to talk about like the kind of places this manga goes. There is literal actual time travel involved as part of one of the plot lines, and it's like a quarter of the way into the run of the manga. If I told you that actual body morphing as a gag became like a real consequence of some of these matches, that's like that is like an actual thing that happens. How many chapters does this thing have? Hang on. Okay, 26 volumes. How many total chapters? Okay. Okay, it doesn't say how many chapters it actually has. But yeah, Yakitate Japan. Holy shit. Food Wars wishes it had this kind of insane swagger. Food Wars is too busy gooning to really try and plumb the true depths of unfathomable food reaction pictures. Okay, let's see. Okay, yeah, let's just do a little bit of hatching here for the hair to show how it would coil towards the front. But yeah, very humble beginnings, insane ceilings for that one. I don't know. I feel like it's been a while since we've seen a gag manga go full power like that. Like this is absolutely the kind of shit that happens when like an editor instead of being like, hey, maybe I should stop my author from going completely off the rails like this. It's just kind of like in the Emperor Palpatine voice going like, do it. I don't know. Sometimes an editor and an author get along well enough. It's like they match freaks. But other times it does feel like the editor is just letting the author cook it, not out of like a sense of artistic integrity or because they trust the author's vision, but it's more like a sort of like some dude asks you to hold his beer and you're like, well, let's see where he goes with this. And the thing is, it's often those people that do some unprecedented kind of genius shit. But at the same time, it's really hard to find a justification for taking their hands and being like, let's go on a journey together. I'm glad they do that though. I am glad that, in as much as the weekly bi-weekly manga market is like a machine that is designed to crush the life out of artists and make them publish 20 plus pages a week, even with the help of assistants. I do think it does lend some degree of creative freedom that we don't really see a lot in certain places outside of like indie comics in the West. Another reason why Chainsaw Man is the best manga on the planet. Got it. I'm gonna say that I've kind of like lost sense of the pacing for part two in the more recent chapters because like now they're starting to release chapters much more slowly. The part two chapters are much more. It feels like a lot happens and then like nothing happens and then a lot happens. It feels like very odd pacing, but at the same time, it feels. I feel like once it's collected into volumes, it'll be a lot easier to follow. Not to mention, I really appreciate some of the weird shit that's been happening as well. Like, for example, in the most recent chapter, when Redacted ate the Redacted devil, and now nobody has Redacted. It's, I don't know. It's peak. it's simply peak. Chainsaw Man is definitely not for everyone, but I do appreciate that it exists. Okay, we might need to go like this. There we go. Yeah, it's also a lot easier to stomach the pacing of part 2 with the fact that, oh wait, no, now Fujimoto gets two weeks of break every now and again. Never mind, I am 100% comfortable with this, right? Like from a diegetic side, it's a little bit rough to deal with, but then you remember that these authors get at least like 1 week extra for every few chapters, and you're like, oh wait, never mind. This is a good thing actually. I like this system better than the other one. It'd be great if they could have more time, but you know. They have obligations as well. I don't know. I do think it's a good thing that they are getting slightly more time per chapter. Not just from like a humane perspective, but also from like just a quality standpoint. Having more than a week to work on 20 pages is, I can't imagine how helpful it is. And you know, I threw around 20 pages earlier. The chapters nowadays are much shorter as well, and I think that also affects the narrative. I don't know. I'm sure the author has to some extent I'm sure the author has a better handle like what the pacing is supposed to be like than me. So I trust the vision. That being said, I'm absolutely not restarting my read through of Jujutsu Kaisen until that shit finishes. No, sir, no way. They've got the I've seen the Jujutsu Kaisen fans out on Twitter every time a new chapter publishes, asking to be put out of their misery. Not because the story is bad, but because it's just like that. I don't know. I think it's good that the author can inspire that kind of emotional reaction out of readers. Although maybe it's not such a good thing in terms of just their own long-term well-being. I do think that Gegaya Kutani is eventually going to be hunted by one of his former fans. Like, it does feel like that's going to be the reason he dies. Well, that's just one of the risks you take as a creative. Hunted down for sport. I feel like hunted down for sport is perhaps not the most accurate description. Hunted down for honor, hunted down for, because for sport implies that that this is for fun rather than for a sort of personal grudge or vendetta. God. I remember reading a tweet the other day that they said that one of the characters is misunderstood, not because not like they're misunderstood inside of the context of the story. They're misunderstood in the context that that Jujutsu Kaisen fans don't know how to fucking read. And I'm like, what is happening in here? What's going on over there? Honestly, I can't even throw rocks I can't even throw rocks inside of that particular glass house because I'm a Hunter fan who can't fucking read. Every other chapter they'll be like, "Oh, he's using fucking one of the five and basic Nen abilities to do that." I'm like, "What? One of the five basic what?" I forget what Nen can do outside of like everybody's superpowers. Gon does rock paper scissors. Killua has lightning. I remember that. I don't remember all the other shit Nen can do. I remember the basic. I remember everybody's superpowers and the like testing results, and like the major types of Nen users. Asking for more than that is a little bit much of me, at least for a first read through. Like they literally have like a Nen that lets you do like cloaking mechanics, and they just forget they have that like 80% of the time. That or like most of the time, whatever they're hiding from is actually much stronger than they are, so they can tell they're hiding. It's such bullshit. I don't know. I've been thinking a lot about power systems recently. Weirdly enough, I think one of the best to do it recently is actually My Hero Academia, in that they make it so that each power is kind of like linked to your own body in some way. I thought that was a very clever limitation. Like, for example, that the explosive kid actually needs to sweat out the nitroglycerin from his body to create explosions. I thought that was very clever. I think that's a great way to tie the the power system into like the idea that this is just like a natural ability for humans now. This is just like what people are like nowadays, in the context of the world's universe. I'm sure that probably got thrown by the wayside at some point. That or they've been shockingly consistent with it. But yeah, I always thought that was a really cool idea. It's a very easy and straightforward way to introduce consequences to using your powers. And it doesn't have like vague limitations, right? Like you can create those consequences as the story goes on, and then you can have the guy say like, "Oh man, I can't actually. I have like two or three blasts left in me. I can't go on much longer." And you're like, "Okay, he has three blasts before he has to peter out." And then you can actually give him three blasts, or then you can be like, "No, it can't end here," and give him a fourth blast, and the audience is like, "Whoa, my god, he did a fourth blast!" I hear that My Hero Academia is actually ending soon. I don't know. It feels weird to just have manga end normally. You know what I mean? I feel like time was you used to just have to drag that shit out until the editors were realized you couldn't make it much more money off of it, or you couldn't keep pushing the stakes any higher, and then you just had to make a sequel series. I don't know. It feels good that nowadays authors can be like, okay, yeah, this story is definitely needing to wrap up now, fellas. Can we call it a night? And they'll be like, yeah, okay, sure, whatever. That's another improvement again, like to the previous system. Now people can just be like, yeah, no, I don't want to do this no more. I'm gonna start wrapping it up now, guys. Yeah, important to have things actually end. I mean, I don't know if that's so much a change in business models or if they just haven't had any new properties which aren't as meteorically popular as like Dragon Ball or One Piece. The problem is that I'm pretty convinced that One Piece is that long just because Oda wants it to be that long. Because like other, I feel like I don't know, I feel like Naruto definitely was supposed to be shorter. Maybe from everything that I've heard about it, Naruto was definitely supposed to be shorter in some regards. I think One Piece just took this long because Oda doesn't know how to control himself, making up silly guys. But yeah, I do like that things can actually end. A lot of things are actually ending too, because like speaking of One Piece, it's supposed to be like on its final saga now, right? Not its final arc, but definitely it's supposed to be. We are supposed to be gearing up towards like the very, very end, which is exciting for me. I frankly did not expect to see One Piece end within my lifetime. I thought that show was just going to keep going on and forever and ever. They just have like a futuristic Oda's head in a jar. Continue to write about that rascal Monkey D. Luffy and his crew of friends. I'm glad that's not the case. I don't know. With the way things are going nowadays, I wouldn't be surprised if there's like a resurgence, right? Like nowadays, miniseries are very popular. I wouldn't be surprised if there's like a resurgence in like the idea of making OVAs for certain arcs or parts of a manga. Just have like an arc of a manga be like a 10 episode miniseries, and you've got that done. I don't know how realistic that is, but I feel like it would be an interesting adaptation to the market. Because like, why did originally OVAs exist, right? That's a thing. Hang on, let me Google that actually. Okay, it's kind of the opposite of what I was thinking about. Original anime video are Japanese animated films and special episodes of a series made specially for release in home video formats without prior showings on television or in theaters. Okay, so it's kind of like the opposite of what I was expecting. So, so by virtue of it being a mini series, it's no longer an OVA. Huh. Okay. Like anime made for television. Hang on, this is interesting. Like anime made for television broadcast, OVAs are subdivided into episodes. Right, with you so far. OVA media usually contain just one episode each. Episode length varies from title to title. Each episode may run for a few minutes to 2 hours or more. What? 2 hours? An episode length of 30 minutes occurs quite commonly, but no standard length exists. That makes sense since you don't need commercial breaks. Okay. The length of episodes in a specific OVA may vary greatly. For example, in Gao Gaigar Final, the first 7 episodes last around 30 minutes, while the last episode is 50 minutes. Okay. Hellsing Ultimate had released 10 episodes ranging from 42 minutes to 56 minutes. It's a long ass time. The longest OVA series ever made, Legend of Galactic Heroes, spanned 110 main episodes and 52 Gaiden episodes. What the what? 52 spin-off episodes for like 110 main episode series? That's like almost 50 per. You sick fuck! What do you mean 52 Gaiden episodes? All right. Huh. Okay. Is there anything else that's kind of jumping out here? Dark realism. Oh, actually, history. Hang on. This might be. Okay, in 2000 and later, a new OVA trend began. Producers released many TV series without normal broadcasts of all the episodes, but releasing some episodes on the DVD releases of the series. Ah, okay. The final episode of XL Sega was only offered as an OVA, mostly due to content issues that would have made TV broadcasts impossible. The series as a whole cannot be called an OVA, although certain episodes are. Huh. Okay, but it does seem like what I was proposing earlier is pretty much incompatible with like the principle of what an OVA is. I guess in that case it'll just be a mini series. You can't just you can't just go around calling anything an OVA. Also, I might bump up the luminosity a little bit on the hair here. Maybe increase the saturation a little bit? That doesn't seem to do much, honestly. But hey, I'll take it. Wait, what? Hang on. Oh, was I accidentally just selecting a little bit of it? That's a little weird. Okay. Never mind. I think I'm just going to leave the hair about the way it is. Just need to keep practicing these little coils. Still, I'm dying over here over the fact that Legend of the Galactic Heroes has just 52 spin-off episodes. For what? For what purpose? That makes no sense. 100. Okay, so 110 main series episodes for just something you released to DVD, direct to DVD for a TV series is already fucking nuts. But then you have 52 additional guide. What the fuck is? Okay, first of all, what the fuck is Legend of the Galactic Heroes about? I know that a lot of people are obsessed with it because it has like a lot of fascinating political intrigue. But actually, no. The fact that it's like this explains a lot more about the fans of Legend of the Galactic Heroes. I don't know how else to put it. Like Legend of the Galactic Heroes fans feel like they've read Plato or some shit. I don't know how to put it. They feel very intellectual. Now the pieces come together. Now it makes sense why they're like that, because their favorite TV series has 110 episodes of political intrigue and also 52 additional episodes to keep track of if you want the full kind of picture behind everything. Like suddenly everything about this series and its fans makes so much more sense than it did earlier. Respect, though. Respect. I respect that. Because that's also like a very, very impressive commitment from the creative team to just make that many. Like they busted their asses off in the sci-fi spaceship mines. Those guys lock the fuck in. Get it twisted, if your space opera political intrigue has 110 episodes, you can do anything. Get it twisted, if your 110 episode political intrigue sci-fi space opera has 52 spin-off episodes, nothing can stop you. Actually, I'm pretty sure that that does make the studio pretty much unstoppable. Hang on, let me let me go look at something real quick. What ended up happening to the creative team behind the Legend of the Galactic Heroes? What happened? What happened to that studio? Okay, epic science fiction novels written by Yoshiki Tanaka. Okay, anime. Here we go. Okay, here we go. Legend of the Galactic Heroes is the second and longest running animated adaptation of Tanaka's series of novels. It was released in direct home video installments during four separate periods before 1988 and 97. Okay. Okay, but who made it? Okay, but who made it? Hang on. Studio. Hang on. Where? Original video animation. Here we go. Okay, studio. Kitty Film Mitaka Studios. Kitty Films. Okay. Okay, here we go. Oh, okay. They made an adaptation of Rose of Versailles as well. That's nice. Major success first came with their anime version of Rumiko Takahashi's Urusei Yatsura. What the fuck? That was these guys? Okay, again, the pieces fall into place now. Oh my god, they're Kitty Films would become noteworthy in and outside of Japan as the producer of most of the animated versions of Takahashi's manga series, including Ranma One Half. That was these guys. Holy shit. Takahashi had attended the same college as Shigekazu Ochiai, the planner of most of Kitty's anime's productions. Ah. Okay, I see. Hang on, I'm sorry I forgot to share the browser source. But yeah, okay. Oh, okay, here we go. Unfortunately, the company had suffered financial troubles from early on, which started to become to a head early towards the end of the Ranma TV series in 1992. Hidenori Taga had in fact helped finance Kitty's film division by spending money from their music branch, and that year was forced to step down due to an unknown scandal. Okay. Okay, Ping Pong Club. Huh. Rumiko Takahashi did not work with Kitty again after the last Ranma OVA was released in 1996. Sunrise handled the animation duties on Inuyasha, and TMS animated Rumik Theater. Kitty Films was eventually reincorporated as Kitty Group, and mainly exists as a talent agency, having sold off the rights to most of the Kitty Films library. The Kitty Records library is currently controlled by Universal Music Japan. That sucks, though. There's a lot of really important ones here, though. Like, obviously, Legend of the Galactic Heroes, that's... Okay, rights transfer to K Factory. Ranma One Half sold to Pony... Okay, what's with these names, though? Kitty Films is already kind of pushing it. Pony Canyon... Oh, wait, no, I read that as Pony Crayon. It's Pony Canyon. Okay, that one sounds hardcore, actually. Never mind. My apologies, Pony Canyon. I was not familiar with your game. We're going to say Yatsuka. Yatsura sold to Pony Canyon. Blu-ray release sub-licensed to Warner Brothers Japan. What's Michael OVAs? I've seen What's Michael sometimes as Tumblr screenshots. I don't recognize most of these. I know Creepy Mommy is supposed to be very important. The Adventures of T-Rex? I don't know what that's about. All right, but mystery solved. They were the guys who made Ranma One Half, and then they weren't. God, that explains. It's weird how digging a little bit deeper into each part of this just made the rest of it make so much more sense. I don't know. I feel like it's important to do that, you know? Like even though you satisfy your basic question, it's important to occasionally be like, okay, what's one step deeper? What are they doing today? I don't know. I just feel even though it's a little bit tragic what happened to them, it's still good to receive a little bit of closure on what exactly their deal was. All right, I think we're about done with the hair. Although maybe I could go a little bit harder on this part here. Just a tiny bit. I don't know. Learning new things is fun and useful. Like for example, now I know who made the original Ramen One Half anime. I didn't know that before, and I feel like that's an important bit of trivia to have in your back pocket. I remember somebody shared this clip of like this very mid 2000s TV show where a couple of nerds were having it out in like a comic book store. Also, yeah, this is looking great. Thank you. Yeah, this clip of like a couple of nerds having it out at a comic book store where they were basically challenging each other to a quiz off, right? Where like they would ask one of them an obscure bit of trivia, and then the other one would have to respond to that bit of trivia. And it was just like a very interesting look at how much difference the definition of like a nerd now is to a nerd back then. Because these guys had like a lot of very esoteric knowledge that I feel like most modern nerds are lacking, but has been supplanted by like something else, right? I feel like most modern nerds can rattle off like specific trivia, but not like to that extent. It wasn't like expected that they would be able to do that. Like, and again, that was probably just exaggerated for comedic purposes. So it's hard to say what is accurate and what isn't. You know, to real life nerds. I gotta. Yesterday, I was talking in Mocha's chat about how I learned very late that pocket protectors and breast pockets were two different things. And if you've never seen a pocket protector before, hang on. If you've never seen a pocket protector, it's basically like a tiny sheath for your pencils and pens that you have tucked away in your breast pocket just in case your pen leaks or you accidentally left it open and you need to put it back in there. It just stops your shirt from getting stained by the pen. And for whatever reason, this particular item of clothing was zeroed in on as like the definitive nerdy clothing item in like the 90s. I don't know. It just reminded me of like this one Tumblr post that said like if you wore properly fitted jeans in like 2002, they would call you a metrosexual. Like people used to pick on you for anything back then, and they still do probably, but like it's crazy work. That color doesn't feel quite right for the shadow. Hang on, let's see if we can't do something better. Also, gotta say, metrosexual, way different thing than what I thought it meant. I thought it was like, well, actually, I'm embarrassed to say what I thought it was about, but I did not expect it to be that. But yeah. Talking about this doesn't seem right. Okay, then over here. Nope. Let's try this here, this here. How about this? Let's do a triangular shape here and then a gradient. Yeah, that works. Okay. I'd probably use this color for the dark color on the apron here. Okay. Stream was dying pretty heavily there. Not sure if that was just on my end. I mean, it says dropped frame 0 on my side, which is impressive. Good work, internet. So it might have just been a hiccup in your transmission. Let's see. Let's do just slightly a little bit darker than that. That's good. Okay. There we go. Gotta make sure you can see the clavicle. Or actually, no, the clavicle would be a lot lower than this. Alright, belay the clavicle. Yeah, that looks good. Actually, maybe I should just shade the whole... Nah. Now, a little bit needs to be unshaded. Just a little... Like a sliver of a triangle over here. I feel like this side of the lip should be a little bit smaller. Maybe just move this whole part up here. It always feels so weird moving line art bits at this stage of the process. Like this looks so much better, but it's also just like I don't know. It feels like some kind of odd alchemy. I don't appreciate it. Okay, just a tiny bit more than that, and that should be a decent color for the face shadow. Although I do kind of want to blend that out a little bit more. Okay, then over here. No, it feels like it'll be a little bit of a sharper curve there. There we go. Maybe a little bit more of a curve on here as well. How's that? Yeah, that feels a little bit better. Okay. Nope. Something about that doesn't seem quite right. Something about this arm is fucking me up. I feel like I've made the elbow maybe a little protrude a little bit much. It should be around there that much rather than, the kind of talent that I've provided for her here. Sorry, but I'm nerfing your elbow strikes. I don't know. You ever see somebody's elbows and be like, man, that guy could probably, if that guy like elbows struck a coconut, he could probably bust it open one hit. Like, I don't know. It's like when like you see, sometimes when you hear like somebody say, "Oh wow, you've got really strong hands." Like if you hear somebody tell that to another person, you're like, "Oh, okay, that's a little corny." But then you like see somebody with strong hands, and you're like, "Damn, this motherfucker got strong hands." Like they weren't kidding about those hands. The hands were not exaggerated in their advertisement. I don't know. It's kind of cool seeing people who like have very clearly developed strong physical features from using those features, right? I don't know. It feels like their hard work has been rewarded in a way. As long provided they're not accidentally like giving themselves arthritis or something by misusing one of their limbs or appendages. And even then, it's like their business what they do, right? But at the same time, it's like you're like, oh wow, that's impressive. Is your hand going to be okay? That's like always a big caveat, right? Like, is it like hurting them to do that? I mean, even if it is hurting them, like again, it's their decisions and their life choices. But at the same time, it's like I don't know if I should be like egging you on for this. Mm. Whoops. Erased too much there. Yeah, I think. Okay, so the shadow cast by this would probably be a little bit further up, like this. Okay. Now to figure out how we make a darker tone for the apron. I guess we could try to make a lighter tone and make that the way we shade it, but I feel like that's going against my warrior's nature. So I'm just going to drop it from. Okay, so right now the V was at a 7 and I've dropped it to a 4. It's a very negligible change. So let's drop that down to a 3 and see where it takes us. Okay, I feel like that's noticeable. Like that one is noticeably darker. It's such a subtle thing. On God, it makes a difference. On God, it makes a difference. When I eventually like, I don't know. I'll probably hit this one with the gradient map, but I don't want to go too nuts with it because I really like how pastel it's coming out. Like it feels like I really emphasize a lot of like very high contrast colors, very high saturation. So it's nice every now and again to just like be like, you know what? Nah, no, we can take it easy. We can just relax today. We can take a break from being full saturation all the time. Okay. Okay. Okay, where's the gap? Aha! Sometimes I wonder if it's because I've got like my tolerance put up on the bucket tool, but no. Sometimes it really is that I've just been slacking and I left a gap in some of the tool's parts or in some of my lines here. Sometimes the gap is real. Me when I accidentally fall out of my fishing boat because it's a little bit too far from the dock. Okay. Still a little bit of radical shading here. Okay. Let's see. We could start using this gap for the gloves too. Don't know how I'm gonna shade the gingerbread men. Boy, I bet whoever first made their gingerbread cookies into the shape of a person was probably taking a pretty big shot there. Like, obviously, you like once you have dough that can be shaped into stuff, your first instinct would be to make it into like things, right? But it'd be like, oh, I made a circle. I made a square. Steve, what did you make? I made Mark. And Mark is like over there having like shaped his into like a dog or something. It's like he's like, hey, is there like any particular significance behind that, or like what are we doing, bro? Like what are we? Like it's definitely cute enough that I don't think like anybody would be like, oh, okay, this guy's a cannibal, right? But at the same time, it must have been like, you were taking a 0% risk. Like I feel like if somebody, you must have known in the back of your mind that somebody would have been like, hey man, is everything okay at home? Same dude to have first drawn like a sad face on his. Well, I don't know. Artistic expression has a lot of different origins and places that it can come from. And like I said, it was probably like a pretty cute for people probably found it pretty cute, and they were probably like, oh, let me try instead of, hey man, you should get some. We don't do that around here. You're supposed to eat. Why are you making our cool non cannibal tradition about food about cannibalism? Kind of reminds me how there's like cookies that look like gnarled fingers, where you just roll them into little, what do you call, where you roll them into tubes and then you stick an almond at the end and it looks exactly like a finger. Like it must have been crazy to be the person who come up with that, because like everybody's like, let's do a spooky cookie this time, and you're like immediately like, we can make a finger, maybe with a little bit too much enthusiasm. I'm lucky that I wasn't near horses, because I feel like my finger would have definitely gotten bitten off by a horse. I don't know how to put it. I feel like I would have been involved in a lot more horse related incidents if I was close to a horse. And obviously that's just statistics, but I feel like I definitely would have been the type of guy to get low diffed by a horse at the ranch. I feel like the horses would think I'm a little bit of a pushover. I'm like the substitute teacher of horse riders. They know they can get away with some extra stuff. That they don't want to push it too much unless they incur my wrath. But like at the same time, they know they can get away with a lot more than like say a normal rider. Okay, I might reshape the lips a little bit once I have this stuff in. Once I'm able to manipulate it a little bit after I wrap up the shading. But yeah, if we basically, I mean, I should still do some rendering on the thighs, and the baking sheet is pretty much undone. I should. Okay, let's see. Let's just do the eyes real quick, because then we can just finish up basically all of the body without counting the leggings. Mm. Now let's not have any shading on the sclera. Now on this part, though. Okay. See, that's too saturated. I can't do that. Honestly, that'll probably do just fine. Yeah, that looks good from a distance. I don't know. Sometimes you have to remember that you got to step back a little bit. I struggle with that still sometimes. I occasionally don't realize that I just gotta be like, okay, hang on. Are we actually taking a big picture perspective on this? I am very easily bewitched by the little picture. Okay, I think I had it somewhere around here. Yeah, fishnet. Let's see. Okay, then we can just erase this part here and then even bring this part out. That'll do. Now this one. Okay. Now. Hmm. Okay. Let's leave it at that. Although maybe I don't know, could I get away with maybe just kinda no, something about that feels wrong. What about just something about this is definitely a little off. Okay, then what else is there left to do? Oh right, the baking sheet. Let's do the legging first. Actually, hang on. We can have some fun with the legging because we can use a little bit of the cross hatching here. Hmm. I'm beginning to believe I might have underestimated the essence of cross hatching. Okay. Use this color and then nope. Yes, but also no. Using so many zero saturation colors on this and making them all look distinct is a beast like move. I'm kneeling in respect for this artist. That is some cracked shit. How do you do that? Like zero saturation? No saturation at all? Terrifying. For what it is worth, you have earned my respect. Like I will be the first to admit that I am easily impressed, but that is really something. Right. Okay, so then we just need this little bit of shadow here. Yeah, I definitely need to mess around with the contrast a little bit, but that's a later problem. All right, so what I might do here, actually, hang on, I might do what is called a pro artist move, which is that I might just select the areas here that should have like a solid sheen to them. And what I'm going to do is that I'm going to go into a new separate layer, and I'm going to overlay one of the metal gradients over it. Not this one, maybe. Maybe more like... maybe more like this one. That didn't apply. Hang on. There we go. Also, I realize now that I've selected the wrong surface for this. Select this one and this one. Yeah, next to that other one. All these are really good textures. I think I like this one best, though. Okay. Now I need to remember how like the precise angle at which I. Oh wait, never mind. I'm goaded. I was gonna say I need to remember the precise angle at which I made this, but now I remember. Okay. Okay. Let's go back and add a few additional shadows. Okay. Then adding this. There we go. That would be a good shading color. Okay, then over here. Add a few more stray shadows here and there. We should be good on this side for the cooking paper. Or for the parchment paper. Cooking paper, huh? Come to think of it, there is rice paper, but I don't suppose you could really call that cooking paper. Reminds me a little bit of that one post that said that baking soda as a name for like an ingredient. It's pretty crazy considering that 80% of the baking ingredients are probably powders. The rest being some kind of butter or liquid or perhaps fat. Like, this is the definitive one? This is the baking powder? Like, the one that bakes everything? Are you absolutely certain this is the one? Because I'm not gonna lie, it just seems like a no yeast leavening agent to me, to my uneducated ass. But I guess you're the boss, English language. Silly ass fucking language, I tell you what. Okay, then this one here. I don't know if this is because I took a break in between the like line art and the coloring phase, but I feel like this one has been like a relatively low drama piece. I don't know. I feel like in some other pieces I struggled with certain things or had like ran into specific roadblocks along the way. This one hasn't felt like that. This one has just felt like I've just been doing my thing, which is nice. But I don't know. You know how like some people are like good things are happening to me, so I'm just waiting for the bad thing to drop now. It's a little bit like that. Like I'm waiting for the other shoe to drop. And that's not a healthy outlook, right? Like if you live your life that way, you're going to be afraid of anything good happening to you, whether it is actually good or if it does have like a bad thing happening later. But I don't know, it just feels unusual to have it be like that. Maybe the one who actually needed a 2 week gestation period wasn't just the mangakas, but me as well. Gestation is probably not the right word to use. I feel like that probably means something else. But close enough. Sentiment's about the same. Okay, then over here. Wait, I'm totally making the shadows on these cookies the wrong way. All right, go back a little bit. It'd actually be almost the opposite of how I was doing it. This leg would be the one casting a shadow because the light's coming in from up around here. Okay, then over here. It's kind of fun to work with with shapes as flat as these. I don't know. It's just kind of satisfying to see how easily they generate the shadow that is cast in my mind. I don't know. Shadows are tricky things in that conceptually they're very simple, but in practice they can be quite complicated. Like theoretically, it's just the object putting an image of itself against where the light is hitting, right? Like in simplest terms, that's what a shadow is. But there are some for which it is like a simpler, like here, it is extremely simple. These are very simple shapes. These are very like recognizable silhouettes, just kind of hitting the ground directly where they're supposed to be. No, nothing fancy, but like immediately it creates the proper effect. I don't know. The images may be treacherous, but they also have some pretty neat party tricks, in my opinion. In my possibly biased opinion. Okay, then over here. Oh yeah, I should probably also make some shadows for the steam coming off of them. That shouldn't be too hard though. Apologies for the noises, I just needed to stretch. Also, while I'm at it, I might as well add a little bit of the hair color here between where the big coils of hair are placed. Am I crazy or did it look better before? No, this also looks pretty good. I guess it's just more emphasized now. And I think that's a right move. Okay. Yeah, I think after the cookies are done, and the steam is over, I think we're basically done with this one. We'd be wrapping up at about the same time as always. About to go beast mode on this cookie shading. About to go beast mode on yeast mode on this red shading. Good enough. There was an effort. Okay. Then over here. Might actually add some little bits and bobs here and there just to show that the cookies aren't like 100% uniform texture. That feels about right. I should also shade the chocolate while I'm at it. But that could come after I'm done with the cookies. Okay. Here, here, over here. 2 more left. Yeah. There's this one bakery near where I work that makes these salted chocolate chip cookies that are about the size of my head and very, very buttery. And like they're one of those foods where you go like, "Oh my god, this is so good, but this cannot be good for me." Like obviously there's a lot of food that's like not the best nutritionally, but I've never like actually felt like a health down. Like have you ever you know how like in some video games you have like an ability that like burns down your character's health but gives them an attack boost? I've never had food in the real world that does that for me, but like this one did it. That was definitely a more like one and done experience. I'm probably not gonna get those again, but gonna get that cookie again. But at the same time, like I understand that it's there. You know, same reason that some people will eat bulldog just for the hell of it. They want to test their limits and know just what exactly the spiciest is. Yeah, the chocolate doesn't need particularly complex shading. Most of it is already there. It's just gotta. It's just a little bit of filling out the gaps. Ooh, adding a little bit of a sparkle in each one might help, though. All right, that's the next mission after this one. Then we move on to the steam. Me when I'm trying to describe my plans for a tech tree in a 4X game. Me when I'm Gabe Newell discussing my plans for a gaming market that'll change the world. Credit where credit is due. For all of Steam's flaws and Valve's incompetence in handling stuff like TF2, credit where credit is due, it could be a lot worse. So I think we kind of lucked out to some degree. Okay. Oh yeah, this is really selling the chocolate part. And it works really well because chocolate is supposed to be like oven fresh, right? It's supposed to be kind of gooey, a little bit runny. Okay. All right, those gingerbread cookies are done. Let me just stretch my wrist and we can finish off with a steam and then we'll call it a night. I'm not confident saying that this is going to be my last attack of Art Fight, but it's probably going to be like, if not the last, it's going to be the penultimate one. I'm glad that I'm either ending it or almost ending it on a high note. I don't know. I like this one. I don't know. It's not as complex as the other ones. It doesn't feel like it's as technically wowing, but it just felt good to work on. And sometimes that really is what you need. Like sometimes it's less about what did you push your limits? Did you do something impressive? Did you like grow as an artist? Sometimes it's just that you have fun. And in this one, the answer was an unequivocal yes. Okay. Okay, then over here. Yes. Yes. I love rendering steam. I love rendering clouds and vaporous objects. I don't know how I got to be so good at doing it or why I enjoy it so much, but it's just, I don't know, there's something very relaxing about it to me. Bob Ross weren't kidding. These little clouds are very happy. I mean, this one's shaped like a deadly skull, but at the same time, sometimes the deadly skull's allowed to be happy as well. The deadly skull is allowed to have things in its life that go well for it. Even the deadly skull needs a win from time to time. I'm not going to begrudge the deadly skull its wins. Okay. Okay. Swap that out, and then last little touch. There we go. All right, let's put our signature on here and head on out. Or I mean, I did say I wanted to do some stuff with the gradient mapping on this one. Let's just do that super quick. After I put my signature on there. All right, let's see here. All right, huck these in their own separate folder. Squash them flat, and then gradient map. Hmm. And one of these somber shade ones is the trick. Hang on, maybe if we lower the contrast on this one and lower the saturation. Hmm. The problem is that it's mainly something about the shadows that's throwing me off. Just a teensy tiny bit. Okay, yeah. Let's compare and contrast. So previous, new. I don't know. Could we like? The problem is like past a certain point, some of it just doesn't make sense anymore, right? So for example, the apron here. The apron is something that we're gonna need to like half shade it darkly no matter what. Mainly because it's already like very close to being a perfect zero voluminosity or whatever the hell it's called. I don't know. I think this is pretty good. What I might do, actually, hang on, is I might overlay the old one, the unedited one, on top, and then just gradient erase it from around here. Actually, yeah, from top down might be the way to go. Yeah, that way it's still got a little bit of that contrast, but it's not like super tight. All right. And actually, one more thing. Just one last little thing. So my plan is to give it like a small border. So shrink this election by around 15 pixels. Ooh, a little more than that. Maybe a couple more shrinkages. A couple more than that. Just trying to like make sure my logo doesn't get clipped by what I'm doing. Okay. Shrink down by 15. There we go. All right. I think that's going to do it for tonight. All right. Thank you all for coming by. I really appreciate it. I always appreciate when people come up by and keep me company. And yeah, I'll be back on Sunday with more Yakuza 0. All right. Take care, everyone. Talk to you later. Bye.